So, hey Ron, welcome to the interview. My name is Chetan. We are hiring at Agile Core and we are looking for a senior Scrum Master. And the person that we are looking for, he will be managing two teams. And we want someone who has experience with Agile methodologies and who has worked with multiple teams and who has experience implementing processes from scratch in multiple teams in an organization level. So, with that said, with that out of the way, first of all, Ron, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So my name is Ron. I spent 2 years in the U.S. Navy, aviation electronics. So I got a little bit of, independent experience and, being in a team environment. And I got some leadership experience in there as well. But I kind of transitioned into the IT world where I started out as a Scrum Master. My main job was to pretty much facilitate the meetings, everything from, the backlog refinements to the sprint planning to the daily stand-ups to sprint retro to even sprint demo, just kind of demonstrating the apps, making sure everything's good to go. And then that's kind of where I got my start. So the first place was with BB&T, which it's called Truist now. It was BB&T and SunTrust, and they merged into one company. So now they're Truist. So that's where I was kind of a major part as far as from a Scrum perspective, just getting everything squared away from that for that merger. So the things I facilitated was number one, obviously the backlog refinement, just making sure everything in the backlog is prioritized and put into a place to where we can start divvying out some of the epics and just kind of breaking them down into user stories and making sure everyone has a job, everyone knows their roles, and just we can kind of go from there. And also we went from there to facilitating the actual sprint planning. So just getting out a big overview of what we need to do over the scope of the sprint. Just getting everything planned out and making sure everything is confirmed based off of what we put in the backlog refinement. Also day-to-day meetings, the daily stand-ups, 15 minutes, just knocking those out, just kind of seeing where everybody did the day before, the day of, the day after, just getting some more confirmation on how everything's going. If there's any blockages or anything keeping us from doing anything, then we can just kind of rectify that situation. And then also the retro. Obviously, we want to make improvements, make sure what we did good, what we did bad, what we did ugly, what we can do to fix it, and just kind of see what we can go from there. My mornings kind of start out right before the daily sprint stand-up start. So we start at 9:30, but I'll be up at 9, just reaching out to the POs, just getting to the information, make sure there's no blockages, nothing that's going to prevent us from moving forward, and just knocking that out. That was my first position. It was a small, just like a small project. Our main project was our proprietary software for desktops and laptops. So we had little small projects in between, but that was our main project as far as the scope, just improving that process, putting more software patches and making it better and better, and a better improvement for our internal users. So that was our main project. We had two front-end developers, two back-end, one full stack, designer, architect, and then obviously the IT manager that was the tech lead that would kind of handle that situation, the PO, and then the stakeholders whenever they would come through. That was my first job. The second job was with Bosch, which is an engineering company. Same role, just a little bit more, I guess more projects, so more of a senior role. So I had multiple projects, including our proprietary software there, but we added the system that we use to create the metal brackets it's an engineering company. So we create metal brackets for different other companies and stuff like that. So our three main projects was the proprietary software, our website, and then that application I was just referring to you about. The difference between there and here, this job is that it's a little bit more projects, a little bit bigger team. So you're talking about 3 front ends, 3 back ends, 2 full stacks, designers, architects, a couple of developers, and it was a tech lead, and there was another guy that was kind of like an assistant tech lead type situation. It was more stuff, more moving parts, so it was more people in place, and then obviously myself, the PO, and the stakeholders when they would come through. Similar roles, coming in, facilitating those meetings, and making sure that I build that bridge between the guys talking tech and the guys talking business, so that we can make sure that everything from a perspective from what the investors need is we can put it together from a tech standpoint. So that's kind of where I started.
Fantastic. And that's a fantastic answer, much better than before. The one thing that you forgot is the sprint demo. When you were talking about all the ceremonies, no big deal, no big deal. You covered it now. You covered it now in the second part, so you covered up for it. But in that part, but that's fine. Completely fantastic, perfect answer. I wouldn't change it for anything. Because the thing is that some of these little mistakes, they signify originality, they signify reality, that you are also a human, you are not a robot that is like trained to speak. You are also a person, and you are thinking with your rational mind. So it's okay, it's good, right? And the second question that I have from you, Ron, is that talk to me, what did you learn in your last retrospective?
My last retro. I learned a lot. I learned that communication is very big. Not just communication from me to the team, but the team back to me, so we can try to get stuff, make sure that we're meeting a common goal. I learned that sometimes we have to, obviously put together a plan for improvement in the team, but we also got to celebrate the wins. We did some good things in the sprint as well. We want to acknowledge that to kind of keep the team motivated, to let them know that we're not just all losses and all improvements. We did some good things well, and we want to continue to do those things. So just keeping that communication open, keeping, obviously you want to keep our foot on the gas as far as keeping the improvements coming, but at the same time, letting people know, like, look, we got some wins in there as well. We want to acknowledge that.
Great. What did you learn from your last retrospective? Give me a specific example.
I learned how important the, obviously we know, but it really kind of reaffirmed me how important communication is. We got product POs that didn't want to show up to the meetings and things like that when we really needed their input inside of our meeting. So I was able to talk with the team about that and actually be that bridge, and and talk with the PO and have those meetings and let him know how important he is to the team, and be able to bring those POs in the meetings. And now we have more productive meetings. Now we're able to have more clarification on the sprint itself, and we're able to to meet our goals in a much more productive manner, because now we have full information from those guys. So that's what I was saying.
Okay. I think Sujata did more practice than you this week, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you practiced that much.
Really?
I mean, of course, she worked more harder. She worked harder. I think you can improve. You can improve a lot more in your flow and your answers. You can do much better.
Yeah, I think you need
yeah.
to understand the question,
Yeah, I
because
think
the
I'm misunderstanding the
question is
question.
long, and then you answer another question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I think you need to listen to the interview videos more. The interview videos that have been given, you need to listen to those more, and kind of write down the questions and answer them one by one, over and over. So I'm not saying you are not doing good. You're doing good, but can you do better? You are doing
Yeah.
80,000, 60,000, 70,000 job. I can give you
Yeah.
$70,000 tomorrow, but will I give you $120,000? I don't think so.
Gotcha.
So I think you can do much, much better.
Okay.
So talk to me about your process. How does your process work from like one end to the other? What's your typical week like, or a typical sprint like for you?
Right. So my day starts, but earlier than the daily stand up starts at 9:30. So at 9 o'clock, I'm already reaching out to POs, trying to figure out what's going on as far as the blockage and anything that's preventing us from moving forward in the sprint. And then we're on the daily we have the daily stand up Monday through Friday. As far as from the beginning, obviously we will focus on the backlog refinement, getting that refined and getting that prioritized as far as the different epics, and see if we can get that broke down into user stories and getting those handed out to the particular techs or people on the tech team that's going to be actually fulfilling those projects. From there, obviously I would facilitate the sprint actual planning, so planning out the whole sprint scope as a whole, and getting that confirmation based off of what we did in the backlog refinement, those daily stand-ups, and then the retro, the retro. Now my schedule is a little bit different, so we would, instead of doing a backlog refinement one time, we would do it every week. And the reason why for that is we definitely want to go back into the backlog and make sure if there's any changes that's made, we want to go back there and kind of beef that up, so we're not overloading ourselves with so much work that we end up not meeting that deadline for our goals at the end of the sprint. So that's probably the only difference than what the standard people would do. I would try to do mine every Friday to make sure that we can go in there and kind of tie any loose ends up that we may come across to be able to get that knocked out. Outside of that, we're working on the actual demo. So we'll demonstrate the actual application, make sure everything works, making sure the font is the same, because we ran through some issues before about it not being the right font, this and that. So we definitely want to make sure that everything's working correctly. It's the right font. It looks great. The users, it's user friendly, and then we can kind of go from there.
Fantastic. Now, talk to me about a time how you handled a difficult stakeholder.
Gotcha. So, boy, that can easily turn into an hour conversation. But yes, there are some difficult stakeholders who would come and ask about the scope of the actual sprint, and they would, you know, just kind of just want to understand. They want to get some confirmation just to make sure that we can complete that type of work. And sometimes it may, you know, it looks like we might not have it. So just keeping that line of communication open with them and letting them know that even if it doesn't look right, that's the whole point of me having that backlog refinement every Friday and those daily sprint meetings. So we can keep the communication open with the tech team, because if we need to make adjustments, we need to go ahead and knock them out right then. So just keeping it, the most important thing that I do when I work for any company, I definitely want to go ahead and set that line of communication up early. See what those guys' goals are as well. So we're not just throwing something and seeing what sticks. What are your goals? What do you, let me know what your goals are so we can be on the same page. And as our goals align, I can go ahead and make adjustments necessary before that even happens.
Great. One thing I want you guys to do is that go to my channel and find a video on working agreement. All three of you guys. I want you to start using that term working agreement. More and more, more and more, more and more. Every line you speak, everything you say, use that term working agreement, because it's very prevalent, very common, and it signifies that you are a very strong Scrum Master. Because what a working agreement is, that, you know, it's kind of like a expectation chart that you have from the product owner, expectation that you can have from this person, that person. And when you use like a working agreement term in front of like a senior Scrum Master or a senior Agile coach, they will think that this person controls his power. He's a very powerful Scrum Master. He controls the frame, and he can control and manage the teams properly, and he can handle tough times as well. Not that you have to control things, but it signifies that you are a powerful Scrum Master and you know how to control the frame and how to be in different places. So working agreement is a term that you guys should use more and more often now that you guys are at advanced level.